Alright, it's Henry again, and this is part 2 of my work in progress on the 1 to 100 scale Leo ground type and space type. Now to start off, I want to show you this. I mentioned I was scratch building the shoulder joints for this kit, and rather than having a peg sticking out of the torso like it used to be on the old high grade, I decided to insert some polycaps and actually give them a little bit of back and forth movement for the shoulder joint. Anyways, you can see here, I've just gone in and put a little strip of ply plate across the top here. I couldn't go across the bottom because these little pegs were in the way, but I did cement some little reinforcements there at the bottom. And that's all using plastic cement, so it's nice and sturdy. It's not going to break off like super glue would. And then those are just standard A polycaps that come with almost every kit. And then they're going to accommodate this little thing. I had to put these little copper tubes on these polycaps as kind of an extension because the original peg wasn't quite long enough, but luckily this copper tube fits the polycap perfectly. And then when I get the whole thing cemented together, I can just put that in there, and I'll have some nice back and forth movement for that shoulder joint. And put this on here just as kind of a preliminary thing. And yeah, I may have to pull it out a little bit, but overall I think I'll have a little bit of forward and back, at least enough to give it a little bit wider range of movement than normal. Now there's another improvement I made since my first work in progress video. Since so many people complained about the awkward gap in the knee and elbow joints from the joints I was using from Mercurius and V8, I went ahead and just designed completely new joints. Everybody was suggesting that I put pistons in the joints, and they're not pistons, by the way, they're hydraulics, but I tried that on Mercurius and V8 and it was a miserable failure, so I wasn't going to try that again. Rather than do that, I simply redesigned the joints, and I pretty much copied the elbow joints from high-grade Universal Century Gundam Hazel. If my camera will even focus on this guy, there we go. This is the elbow joint. And you get pretty much a full 180-degree bend with no awkward gap. It's very similar construction to the joints that I was using, only slightly different. It's 4 pieces. You got this piece right here with the 2 pegs on it, and you got these 2 blocks, which I just stacked up and cemented together, I think 4 pieces of ply plate, and made these and drilled a hole through them. And they go through there. And these 2 blocks are what's going to actually attach to the arm or the leg. And then you got this plate that'll go outside and hold everything together. And like I said, pretty much a full 180-degree bend without any awkward gap. Here is the arm, as you can see, with the elbow joint installed, and there you go. As well as the leg, bending here and there, full 180-degree bend. And rather than recasting these, rather than using up the silicone and taking, 3 days it takes to make 2 halves of mold and then recast, I just decided to make all of them out of ply plate. I didn't bother recasting, I just made all of them out of ply plate. It was just quicker for me that way. Now with the knee armor on here, just slide that on, I'm still going to have a full 180-degree bend with no awkward gap. So the knee armor doesn't get in the way at all. Now with the elbow armor is a little bit different. The elbow armor, just because of the shape of it, is going to prevent it from having a full 180-degree bend. Still looks good, but I'm only going to get a little bit more than 90 degrees, which is fine by me, because my Tall Geese Project Leo, the elbow barely even bent 90 degrees at all, so any improvement over that one is okay in my book. And again, as you can see, no awkward gaps there. So I'm not even really going to have a need for the arm to bend a full 180 anyway. As long as it looks good, which I think it does, and that's all that really matters to me. Now, one more thing I want to show you before I put the two Leos together is the skirt armor. Now, this is what the original Tall Geese waist section looks like, and this is pretty much what I used for my Tall Geese Project Leo back in 2011. But I wanted this guy to have actual movable skirt armor, so I chopped off this lower half right here, just removed this top part. That way I could have the little peg right here for the thruster to go on. And then I took the side skirt connectors, I guess you would call them, from another high grade and cemented that on there with a little bit of plop-a-late, you can see. And then it's got another piece that goes in there like so. And then I made a recast of that. And here it is with all of the skirt armor attached. And I think it turned out really nice. Now for the front skirts, this crotch piece and the two front skirts are the ones that came with the Tall Geese. I just cut them apart. And let's see if I can pull this guy out carefully. I got this little polycap in there, so the little front skirts are on ball joints. And I've just got a little pin that I can pin this guy in place with. And they're relatively mobile. Of course, they're pretty small, so they don't really get in the way in the first place. The side skirts I actually thought about recasting, but they're so simple. They're basically just blocks. I just got to put a couple details on them. I figured I'd just make all four from scratch. And the back skirts, I just recasted this front crotch piece and recasted this thruster and glued those onto the back there to make the back skirts. They don't move at all. They're just going to be static. One last thing I want to show you is the undersides of the skirt armor. I actually did detail down here. And focus in on that. Come on, Cameron, let's go. There we go. Did some detailing on the undersides of the skirt armor. Didn't do any detailing on the undersides of the back skirt, but I did for the side and front skirts, and I think it turned out pretty decent. It'll look even better once I get around to actually painting and masking it. So now let's get these two guys put together and on their feet. And after a couple of weeks, actually not even a full 2 weeks, just shy of 2 weeks, I've finally got Leo and Leo Space Type both on their feet. Now, as I mentioned in my last work in progress video, that I was going to be doing a little bit of recasting on these guys. The foot, the shoulder joint, the knee armor, the bicep, and the waist section are all the parts that I recast. Oh, and this front crotch piece here, as you saw with the back skirts. The shoulder armor I was actually going to recast, but my epoxy putty, my Milliput, didn't get here in time. I wanted to go ahead and start the recasting, so I ended up making all four shoulder armors from scratch. But they're pretty small and simple, so that was really no big deal. So yeah, the proportions I think look really, really nice. I'm really happy with the way they've turned out. They're a little bit bulkier than my first Leo, which is good. That's a good thing. Fleshed out the chest a little bit more than I did in my first one. Let's see. I guess I'll go over the improvements that I've made to these guys. Let's see. My first Leo that I made for my Tall Geese project had a fixed pose head, kind of like on Robot Damashi Leo. But I figured since I've already done that once for my Oz project Leos, I figured I would do a rotating head. Got to clear out a little bit of space there for that one, but over here in the other Leo, I can move him over here. The head rotates with no problem. And I didn't glue these camera eyes in, so they're kind of loose. They're going to be flopping around a little bit. But yeah, rotatable head. The shoulder armor, on my first Leo, I made it to where the shoulder armor like pegged in and could move up and down. But honestly, I don't see there's really much of a point in the shoulder armor moving, because it really does not get in the way of the shoulder mobility at all. So I'm just going to glue it in place. It's not glued in right now, it's just kind of holding on there with friction, but I'm just going to glue it in place because there's no point in having it move, in my opinion. So anyway, you got rotation below the biceps, the shoulder armor I showed you a little while ago. Shoulder, elbow armor. I can't even think straight. Skirt armor I already showed you. The hips, the knees, they can bend like so. The ankle armor. Here's the feet I made. Actually turned out really nice, really clean cast. I hardly had any bubbles at all with the casting I did with this kit. There's the B Club Leo ankle armor. It's just kind of floating there. And this guy is the Leo ground type. Right now, I haven't started on any of the weapons or the backpacks. Right now, the only difference between my Leo ground type and space type are the shoulder armor. As you can see, space type's got some thrusters, and Leo ground type does not. And the bottom of the feet. I'll show you these. Bottom of the feet, while I do really like the detailing I did down here, for the Leo ground type, I just did a simple little rectangular shaped joint between the two halves of the foot. And on Leo space type, bring him over here, I added a thruster on the bottom of the foot, just to kind of differentiate between the two. And you'll notice that the joints are a little loose right now. It really couldn't be avoided just with the size drill bits that I had on me, but I'm going to tighten those. I actually think painting them will tighten them up sufficiently. If not, I'll add a little bit of glue and tighten them up even more. One last thing I want to show you, one last improvement over my Tall Geese Project Leo, is that this time I'm using the Kotobukiya hands. Not Kotobukiya, I'm sorry. Hobby Base posable hands. These right here, in fact. 1/100 scale round finger hands. I thought they were going to be a little bit too big, that's why I was hesitant to use them, but I think they're going to look okay. I don't think they look too big on these Leos at all. I think they look I think they look fine. The Kotobukiya hands that I had previously was going to use on these two kits, I have plenty of other model kits that I can use those on, so those certainly will not go to waste. And the last thing I wanted to do before I wrapped up this video was a couple of size comparisons. Now, here is my Tall Geese Project Leo compared to my Oz Project Leo. As you can see, my Oz Project Leo is a little bit shorter. Proportions are a little bit bulkier, which was intentional. I really like the way that's turning out. And here is B Club Leo, which is even smaller than my Oz Project Leo. All four of these are supposed to be 1/100 scale, but as you can see, there are size differences. Now, as I mentioned in the first work in progress video, Leo is a 16.2 meter mobile suit, and meaning in 1/100 scale he should be 16.2 centimeters tall. So, get out the trusty ruler. We can put the 1 centimeter mark right at the bottom, and Tall Geese Project Leo is about 17, just at 17 centimeters tall. B Club Leo is about 15.4 centimeters tall. And my Oz Project Leo is 16.2 centimeters exactly. So I think I got the height accuracy spot on for these guys, which makes me really, really happy, because that's one of the things that I was concerned with from the very beginning. I wanted to make sure they were the proper height. So that about does it for this work in progress video. And now that pretty much all of the body work is done, I can go ahead and get started with the weapons. Shield, dauber gun. Going to be making these are actually recasts from Virgo 2. Going to be using these to make a beam rifle, a shorty beam rifle. Going to be making a new machine gun. This is the one for my Tall Geese Project Leo. I'm going to be making a new machine gun, I got to make the space backpack for Leo space type, and I'm going to make the flight pack for Leo ground type. And that'll all be covered in the next work in progress video. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.